Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing another basics video for you guys where we talk about things that seem relatively simple, but you would be surprised how many people just don't understand it because the beauty gurus of YouTube don't explain it. We're going to be talking about the importance of primers in your makeup routine today because I get a lot of questions when I'm at work of what is a primer, why do I need it, what does it do, etc. First of all, what is a primer? A primer is the step before your foundation. It is essentially just like when you paint a wall, you have to prime the wall first so the paint doesn't settle into all of the nooks and crannies and looks gross. It also keeps the paint from chipping and coming off and fading. So it's the same case for your foundation. Primer is what you put on first to protect your skin from the pigment of the makeup. It is to keep it from settling into pores, fine lines, etc. And it is to keep it lasting longer and to keep it from fading. There are so many different types of primers. So when you need to look for a primer to add into your foundation routine, you need to narrow down what is going to be the best for your skin type. The many different primers, the ones I can think of off the top of my head, are hydrating primers if you have very dry skin or just normal dry skin. There are mattifying primers for those of you who are oily. Pore filling primers for those who have an issue with their pores showing through their foundation. Color correcting primers. Also a lot of different price ranges for your primers. Personally, I haven't noticed a expensive primer that I think is exceptional. Most primers do have pore filling technology within them, so you don't necessarily, depending on how bad your pores are, you don't necessarily need one that is just pore filling. A lot of people do tend to lean towards primers that are just pore filling if pores are a concern, but you don't necessarily have to do that if they're really bad, if that makes any sense. So I've got a couple primers here in front of me just so you guys can see the different types that I do have. I have primers that do just about everything just because I like to try different primers with different foundations. You'll notice certain primers won't work as well with other foundations. You do kind of need to gear them towards the ingredients. So there are different types of formulated primers as well, and so based on what your favorite foundation is at the time, I recommend gearing that to complement the primer as well. Is the most popular type of primer, which is a silicone based primer. That is when you see dimethicone very high up on the ingredient list or some form of cone. That just means it's some type of silicone. Dimethicone in a primer is essentially what fills the pores because any form of silicone obviously doesn't sink into the skin. So that is what fills the pores because it just sits in them. I personally am not a big fan of products with dimethicone in them just because I don't like things clogging my pores. And silicones, just like with your hair, are harder to remove and it takes more cleansing. I ain't trying to dry out my skin, you know, but it's fine for when you're just using it for makeup. If you have skincare that has dimethicone in it, I don't recommend it because it's not seeping into the skin. Here are some silicone-based primers that I have. One of them, this is one of the most popular primers on the market right now. It is the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. Now, I do like this one, actually. I do like it. It is quite pore filling. Not as much as some other ones, like one from the Poreless one from Tarte. It's a little bit more hydrating. It's very smooth on the skin. Another one that I have is the MAC Prep and Prime one. I know this is a silicone-based primer. And another one is the L'Oreal Infallible Matte Lock. Now this is a mattifying and pore-filling primer. This one gives you a matte finish, also blurs and preps everything because typically you'll notice mattifying primers are always going to be a silicone based because they're geared for oily skin and oily skin tends to have deeper set pores. Those are the pore filling primers that I have. I'm not super big on pore filling, but I just happen to have ones that are. I do like pore filling right in my nose area just because my foundation does tend to sink there. I do like to gear my foundations that are more water-based. So silicone-based primers don't act very well with water-based foundations. It kind of just separates itself from each other. So if you have a silicone-based primer, but you're using a water-based foundation and you notice it breaks up and like it literally separates itself from each other, you know that you need to either switch your foundation or switch your primer. There are also water-based primers. Those are typically more hydrating ones, such as the Ulta Beauty Hydrating Face Primer. Primers like that are definitely more hydrating, so if you have dry skin, primers that are water-based or glycerin-based are going to be your friend because they are way more hydrating. If you also need something with pores, one like the Poreless Putty Primer from e.l.f. is quite good, or the Tatcha Primer if you want to spend all your money. So you've got your basic ones, you've got your pore filling ones that are typically silicone based, and you've got your water based ones which are typically hydrating. Then there are also spray primers. Now I have not had the best experience with spray primers. They don't really do a whole lot for me. You do see setting sprays that are both primer and setting sprays, like the MAC Fix Plus. That is a prime spray slash setting spray. Put it on under my makeup, but I will also layer it with a regular primer. Another one is the Catrice Dewy Glow Fixing Spray. This can be done under your makeup or on top of your makeup. I only do those if I'm trying to be really extra with my makeup routine. I've noticed that spray primers, being primarily water-based or in the unfortunate situation, alcohol-based, they don't do anything as far as filling the pores, hydrating the skin. The Dewy Glow does a good job of hydrating, but it doesn't do anything else. It doesn't do anything for the longevity of your makeup. It doesn't do anything for filling pores, stuff like that. Typically sprays I recommend for the end of your routine when you're trying to lock in all of your makeup. Play around with it while you're still new to primers. I definitely recommend just getting drugstore ones. I mean, the e.l.f. one is $8. I think this one was $9 or $10. L'Oreal is expensive, okay? For a drugstore brand, L'Oreal needs to chill. Or you can get extra. MAC, they have great primers. The Cover FX primers are exceptional. I've tried all of them. I love all of them. The gripping primer is so good. One thing to be cautious with if you are gonna get one that is mainly just a gripping primer, if you have texture or if you have acne, be careful with that. Also, if you have really deep set pores, be careful with that because it'll cling to texture, it'll cling to dry patches, and it'll also cling into pores. So that is just something to be cautious of when you are trying a gripping primer. I love gripping primers. I highly recommend them, but I only use it when my skin is pretty chill. I know this video was kind of weird that I'm just sitting and telling you about things, but I personally think it is important to talk about these types of things. I don't really know how to end this video because I'm done talking at this point. I'm done talking. That's it. I think I'm gonna end this video here. I don't really know how to end it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Hope all of this made sense. I hope those of you who don't really understand primer or those who are new to makeup, I hope this makes sense to you. Of course, if you have any questions that I did not answer in the video, which is highly likely, if you have any questions, make sure you comment them down below, send them to me on social media, whatever. Just ask me, because I will answer whatever I can with whatever knowledge I have. The primers that I did mention today, I will link in the description below if you want to check them out, if they really leap out to you. And yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Later.